Welcome everyone to Breaking Big Blue. I'm your host Jordan Ron on ESPN. ESPN.com. Giants reporter, and we're here with the joint practice episode. Giants and Jets got together for 2 days. First in Florham Park, then in East Rutherford. Went back and forth. We got some takeaways with a little quick 5-spot we're going to do of things that stand out to me after the 2 days of practice. Then we're going to talk to Rich Cimini, our ESPN.com Jets reporter. So we're going to have the little Breaking Big Blue flight deck collaboration here on this show. We did it again last year, and it'll be interesting to hear what the Jets reporter perspective is of the Giants after watching 2 days. So full disclosure, I spent the 2 days watching the Giants offense, at least in live drills, Giants offense against the Jets defense. Rich spent the 2 days watching the Jets offense against the Giants defense. So let's hear what he says about the Giants defense, which he got a very close look at. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But first, my quick 5-spot. Things I come away thinking after these joint practices. And of course, it's that defensive line of the Giants looks excellent. But specifically, Brian Burns appears to have taken his game to another level. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an even better version of Brian Burns last year. He was pretty good. I think he was top 10 in the league in pass rush win rate or pressure percentage, one of those two, which is a pretty good number. But still, some people were like, they give up a lot for him. They're paying him a lot of money. I don't fully see it. Brian Burns is a really good player, and I think we could see an even better version of him this year. The Jets had tons of trouble stopping him by all accounts. So Brian Burns really stands out to me out of these joint practices. The Giants offense, which I spent 2 days watching against a Jets defense, that's pretty good, but was missing a lot of its players. There was a lot of negative plays out there. And the Giants, they hit some big plays. They salvaged both days with big plays. The first day, it was Russell Wilson, 3 straight touchdowns to end and a red zone drill. But up until that, major struggle. And then day 2, Russell Wilson again, up and down day, but salvaged by 2 really big plays, a seam ball to Greg Dulcich down the middle, and really a bootleg run, which they fooled the Jets. Would have been a big play, touchdown in the red zone probably. But without Malik Nabers and also without Andrew Thomas, if this offense without Malik Nabers and Andrew Thomas, this is going to be a bottom of the league offense. Bottom 5 offense if they don't have those guys. There's a struggle to move the ball consistently. A lot of negative plays. There were some penalties, a bunch of sacks. Snaps are a problem at times. It's mostly with Jackson Dart and whoever his center's been, mostly Austin Schotman, Jake Kubas, whoever it is. But sloppiness, the offense, it's going to be a struggle. I'm telling you. If Malik Nabers not on the field for this team, and I know Darius Slayton didn't play that much either. He came back, played a little bit today. Jalen Hyatt didn't really participate he came back, also didn't participate in team drills. But it's going to be a struggle for this Giants offense to really score points, I should say, if Malik Nabers is on the field. Move the ball consistently. There's a lot of negative plays. That kind of has me a little scared about this offense, especially if Malik Nabers is not there, and Andrew Thomas as well. Because once it's like dominoes keep falling. Andrew Thomas isn't there. Now, Jermaine Luminur is better on one side if you have Andrew Thomas on the other side. John Runyon and Andrew Thomas create a strength on the left side if Andrew Thomas is there. You take him out of that mix and he's not at a super high level, because he's the one high-level offensive lineman they have, then it could be problematic. So I'm a little worried about the Giants overall if Nabers isn't there. But item number 3, the Nabers sitting out in the joint practices, I was told, and I heard from a source, that it's an injury, it's not the toe injury. It's a different injury than the toe and the shoulder he suffered before, but it's a very minor thing, and that he's going to be good, and that he's pretty much fine. He was out there on Wednesday on the sideline in actually uniform and pads, so it definitely doesn't seem like it's bad, but this is another minor injury for Malik Nabers. Maybe it's not serious now, but it's certainly something. When all these little knocks keep piling up, it does seem to be something we have to keep an eye on moving forward. Not something that's super serious right now, but definitely something to keep an eye on. How about Bo Collins? You might not even know who he is. Undrafted free agent signing. He's taking first-team reps today. I'm taping this on Wednesday night at practice. you're getting first-team reps. That means something at this point in the summer. And I know, like I said, Slayton, not really there. Hyatt, not really there. Neighbors, not really there. But there's other guys in line that could have stepped up and stepped into those roles. Bo Collins is taking first-team reps and scoring touchdowns in live drills. Caught a deep ball from Jackson Dart. Caught a 7-on-7 touchdown from Russell Wilson. That matters. So Bo Collins is definitely a name that I'm keeping an eye on. Also Gunnar Olszewski. He's making plays now with the first team as well. Pretty quickly has made his mark as a receiver. Very interesting, that kick returner role as we move forward here this summer. And also, real quick injury update. Tyler Nubin left practice on Wednesday. He was riding the stationary bike on the side afterwards, so he didn't look like it was something serious, but leaving practice is definitely notable. Cordell Flott returned. Evan Neal returned to practice on Wednesday. Jalen Hyatt returned. Darius Slayton was back this week. So getting healthier still. I mean, the one injury I think that we need to worry about right now, actually two, I should say. When is Andrew Thomas coming back? He didn't come back this week. Makes me a little nervous. Next week, if he's not back by next week, sound the alarms for week 1. 100%. Got to be back next week to at least be activated from the PUP list. And the other one is Cam Scatterbo. He's still sidelined. He's not working on the side at practice. We don't see him outside of practice at all. Makes you think he's not that close to returning. So Cam Scatterbo's start of the season looks, at the very least, to be in serious jeopardy. Probably not going to make it in time for that. So those are things to keep an eye on as we move forward. On to the next one.
All right, we got a Breaking Big Blue flight deck collaboration because we got joint practices for, I think it was the second straight year. If I remember.
Crossover. Yeah, it's fun. Jets-Giants today. We're in East Rutherford. Yesterday we were in Florham Park.
So let's take we'll get the opposing viewpoint. What did you take away? You watched the Giants for 2 days. You sit there, you watch the Jets all summer. What did you come away, like what's your main takeaways after seeing the Giants for 2 days?
The Giants are going to have a good front. I mean, I really watched those guys. They gave the Jets a lot of problems, both in the individual drills, the one-on-ones, and in the team drills. Thibodeau and Burns look like they're primed for big years, especially Burns. And Carter's interesting because they use him all over. They use him. He's kind of an inside linebacker, right? I mean, they use him as
he's also playing like that defensive tackle type role, like going against the guard.
Yeah, he rushed from the inside a lot, and he caused, I know yesterday in Florham Park, he got a sack on Joe Tippmann there, who was playing guard at the time. So very impressive front by the Giants, gave the Jets passing game all sorts of problems. The Jets ran the ball pretty well today. I thought they had some runs. Justin Fields had a long run on a zone read. Braylon Allen had a long run. But in the passing game, the Jets couldn't get anything going. So that's a tip of the cap to the Giants.
That's kind of seems to be their MO, and that run defense is going to be huge. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. From the Jets' perspective, first, for full disclosure, Rich, you watched the Jets offense against the Giants defense both days, and I watched the Giants offense against the Jets defense. And the Jets, even without their some of their top players in the defensive front, Quinnen Williams, Jermaine Johnson, I mean, their defensive front looked still pretty good. It makes me think they're still going to have a pretty good defense. They had a lot of success against the Giants offense, granted, without Malik Neighbors and company. I mean, we didn't see Sauce out there today either for the Jets, but the Jets defense looked like it's going to be a pretty good unit. And from the limited time I did see the Jets, Justin Fields as a passer seems to be kind of what you heard. It's just very inconsistent, I think, and that is just very limited sample size, but missing sometimes passes that you probably shouldn't miss.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn actually said he was encouraged today by what he saw from the offense. Now, yesterday he was a little more critical. I actually didn't see that. I didn't see any encouragement today. Their passing game really was not good today. Fields, I had him for 4 sacks. There's no downfield passing attack to speak of. Everything is a check down to one of the running backs. But Aaron Glenn, I don't know if he was trying to pump him up today. He said he challenged him in a meeting last night, the offense, to be better because he was not happy yesterday. I didn't see the improvement today. Maybe I was watching something
Maybe he's
different.
just worried about burying him 2 days in a row. You got to give him some positive reinforcement.
He's very mindful of the New York media and how the media can get on a quarterback very quickly. And so I think today he was maybe tossing a little life preserver to Justin Fields to pump him up a little bit.
A little bit disappointing that we did not get to see the Malik Neighbors, Sauce Gardner matchup. Like, that's That's kind of the headliner here when you think of that.
Sexy matchup, yeah. Sauce Gardner missed today with some calf soreness. From what I understand, it's not serious. It was more precautionary, but that would have been fun.
Yeah, it definitely would have been fun. I'm curious. You've spent, it's been like a month basically since training camp started. Do you feel any differently about the Jets prospects than you did? Like they're over/under coming into camp. Vegas has it 5.5, so low. I'm sure your expectations weren't super high for this unit, but anything changed for you?
Not really. I'm still in like the 7 to 8 win range right now. I think this offense is going to struggle early in the year. Like the first few weeks, look at some of the teams they're playing and the way they're playing right now. This is going to be a struggle for this offense and Justin Fields. I think the defense can carry them through that early part of the schedule. I think this is a team that's going to get better over the second half of the year. But I think they'll be more disciplined. I think they'll be more physical. And I think they'll get the most out of what talent they do have, but they do not have playoff talent.
The strength of their team is supposed to be the offensive line, right? They have a lot invested in their offensive line.
A lot.
So I'm curious because you mentioned before the Giants had all the success against their defensive front, which we know is going to be very good, could be dominant. Has the Jets' offensive line not quite put it together, or is it just a matter of maybe the Giants' talent? Like this might be like a high-end defensive line. One of the more higher-end defensive lines that they're going to face.
A little bit of both. I think there'll be a high-end defensive line, but the Jets' offensive line played pretty well against Green Bay the other night, so I will give them that. And Green Bay had a lot of their starters in there. So, and Armand Membu played really well against the Packers. Today, he had a couple of hiccups against Carter and some of those guys, Burns and Olu Fashanu had a couple of hiccups today. So they're very young. I mean, Fashanu, let's not forget, he's only started 7 games in his career. Membu's
he wasn't even a full-time starter last year. He came in like
a
back end of the season.
Yeah, he was a back-end guy. Very talented, and I think he's going to be really good. Membu, same thing, but they're very, very young.
But the thing with that is sometimes, like, offensive linemen, just because you get drafted high doesn't mean you're always a slam dunk and being good. That's why I was curious. They have all these first-round picks. Does it look like it's going to be a strength of the team and a good offensive line?
Yeah, I think
as a whole.
I think they'll be better. I'm not going to anoint them like some people have and say, this is a top 5 offensive line. I think PFF had them one of the best offensive lines in the league. I think maybe at the end of the year or next year they could be. This is going to be a growing process, but I like their starting 5. I really do. I think Vera Tucker is in a contract year. He's very motivated. I think he's going to have a good year, and it's going to be a unit if they can stay healthy. That's always the issue with the Jets. If they can stay healthy, it's going to be a pretty good group this year toward the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's encouraging to see the Giants have the success that they've had there. Like, hey, they're going to be successful probably against any offensive line. We saw it against Buffalo. We saw it against the Jets now. And Buffalo's offensive line also pretty good. So these are good signs for the Giants' defense in particular. You came away impressed with them as a whole, as a unit?
Yeah, McFadden had a blitz today where he sacked the quarterback. He got in there very quickly. Dexter Lawrence speaks for himself. He's outstanding. I think what I'm curious about is the Wilson Dart dynamic. I'm walking off the field today and I hear all the fans, the kids, Jackson Dart. He is the fan favorite. What's that going to be like? Is that going to get a little sticky for the Giants this year?
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, you hear it all the time. It's a matter of it's not a matter of if he starts. It's when he starts, right?
That's the question.
Like if they could keep him out of the lineup the whole season, it means they're having a lot of success with Russell Wilson. So it's a problem that they'd like to have.
Yeah.
But clearly, the more success that Jackson Dart is having, and you're seeing it in practice too. I mean, the first team offense for Russell Wilson is exactly this well-oiled machine.
Right.
They actually struggle. I think if we look at it as a whole, the defense has won these joint practices probably on both sides. Fair?
I think that's fair. The Jets and Giants are pretty similar offensively. They're relying so much on one outstanding wide receiver.
Who wasn't there for the Giants.
Wasn't there for the Giants. And, Garrett Wilson was there, but really didn't do much because they couldn't get the ball downfield. So in that sense, they're kind of mirror images.
Why do you think they weren't able to get the ball to Garrett Wilson? Was it the coverage? Was it just the offense, the system, or they just couldn't get the offense for enough time and rolling?
They're short on playmakers. They need a guy to step up and take the pressure off Wilson. They don't have that guy. I don't think the Giants have that guy either. Maybe Mason Taylor at some point can be that guy. It's past.
That's a lot to ask for a young tight end like
Justin. Yeah, it is. And he missed some time with an ankle.
Ditto Theo Johnson for the Giants. It would be a lot to ask him to be like, if you don't have Malik Neighbors, you got to be one of those guys.
Yeah. So both offenses are going to go through it. I think Fields, you asked about the short. Fields is being very conservative right now. I think he's in game manager mode. He's just trying to find his check downs, and it's like Captain Check Down. You saw it against the Packers the other night, and everyone was applauding him for doing that the other night. Right. But eventually, the fans are going to get a little nuts with that. So, yeah, I mean, Arian Smith is the one player that they have a vertical dimension, but he's a rookie. He's very raw, so that's going to be. It's going to be a project with
It's
him.
the same thing with the Giants' first-team offense, like Russell Wilson. It's a lot of dump. Try to hit a deep ball, which they did hit a deep ball up the seam today to Greg Dulcich. He had a big running play, but aside from that, it was pretty sloppy. How much of that do you think is, I mean, you weren't there to watch the whole thing, but how did the Jets' defense look as a whole? Because it looked really strong, even without some of its top playmakers against the Giants. Has it looked like that all summer?
Yeah, they're having a good summer, and it's a new scheme, and it's attacking. They're going to be blitzing more this year. They're going to be playing more man coverage. They have two good corners. Brandon Stevens has surprised me because, frankly, I was not a fan of that signing from the Ravens, but he's been one of their better players in camp, so that's a positive. Their safety, Andre Sisco, has been better than I thought. And
he had a PBU today, man, a nice play.
He's been good. He makes a play every
near the
day.
goal line.
Yeah. Local kid from Long Island, so it's a good story, him coming back. And the linebackers are good, and I think their defensive line could be good if they stay healthy because their depth is a little suspect.
Right. Well, I mean, it should make them feel a little bit better that their depth kind of held up against the Giants here these last few days. So anything else that you came away with the joint practice thinking?
I think for us both, I think we're not going to be writing about high-scoring offenses this year. I think we're both going to be writing about defensive-oriented teams that and we're going to have some ugly, low-scoring games.
First team to 7 or 8 wins this year. That's for sure. I think it's pretty safe on that one.
I think the Giants and the Jets are very close.
Yeah.
I think probably in the same
The
ballpark.
difference might be that the Giants have that super hard schedule.
They do.
That's the harder thing. The
And
Jets'
the
schedule makes it think, it might be a lot easier of a schedule, and the division's super hard.
The Jets division is down. I mean, Buffalo is way ahead of the pack. Everyone else is just fighting for second, and there's a big gap.
There are some people who think New England's ready to make the come up and jump, but they got to prove it first.
They got to prove it,
and it's not like you're playing, the Commanders who made the NFC Championship last year, or the Cowboys who've been consistently good for like the better part of a decade since Dak.
I think New England could come in second. I mean, I think
no,
the Jets
absolutely.
could be third, and I think Miami's on the way down. I think Miami could be in last. So I think only one playoff team will come out of the division.
Yeah, and it's
your division
probably not going to be either of our teams.
It's
They're definitely underdogs with both their over-unders being 5.5.
Yeah, I think the Jets will go over. I have them at about 7 and 10 right now.
I have 6 for the Giants. So we got 2 overs, barely, but first to 8 wins, Rich.
All
right,
we'll have a bet on it. All right, great.
Friendly bet.
Great checking in with Big Blue.
Breaking Big Blue, Flight Deck, collaboration. See you next year after joint practices.
Gonna wrap up here a little quick. Jordan on the beat. Thank you to Rich Cimini for his insight on what he saw from the Giants. Also, what he saw from the Jets in those 2 days of joint practices. Great teaming up with him as always. We could each have one of us on each field. Always great to have an extra set of eyes. Love that. So joint practices are fun. And doing a home and home is actually pretty cool. Doing it in a different atmosphere. Things change things up a little bit and then come back to the Giants facility, do it there. I kind of like that. I think they should adopt that, hopefully, moving forward, and be able to do that moving forward each year into their preseason game would be a nice touch. Now, quick lineup announcement as we move forward here for the summer. If you weren't paying attention on Monday night, I am doing a show on Bobby Skinner's Giants Nation show YouTube channel. So it's a Breaking Big Blue Giants Nation show collaboration. Myself hosting the show, Bobby Skinner as in some facet. This week we kind of did it together, co-hosted the show. We'll definitely do at least a segment each week together, but we're going to try different things. So keep an eye out for that. Look for Giants Nation show on YouTube. Also, Breaking Big Blue on YouTube right here, Jordan Ron on YouTube. Like, subscribe, make sure you tell all your friends about that. So Monday night, 7 p.m., be there on YouTube. If not, you can catch the replay. It'll be there, living forever, till eternity. And as far as the rest of the summer, this is the end of joint practices. Training camp is over. So those practices are now basically closed to the public. There's no more open practices to the public. Taping rules have now become stricter, so you'll get less videos and tape of plays, snaps, Abdul Carter dominating people all over the field. You're not going to get that anymore. Things change. It almost is like regular season rules. So as we get to the nitty-gritty here in training camp, or sorry, I shouldn't even say training camp, because training camp is technically over. The end of the summer, practices leading into final cuts, into the regular season, there will be much less video, but we'll still bring some more. I'll try to bring some more of interviews, anything that we can sort of incorporate, anything, when we get into the locker room, we'll bring you as much locker room talk as we can to the Breaking Big Blue show. So in the meantime, we got 2 preseason games left, one against the Jets, and then the following week against the Patriots. So 2 fun weeks. It'll be interesting to see. I still, my gut of guts still says I think Brian Daboll is going to play a lot of his players. He's been adamant about playing his guys in the preseason, even if it's just one drive, one quarter, his starters. I expect to see probably most of the starters this week and again against the Patriots. So the preseason is a little more notable this year under those circumstances, knowing that the Giants intend to play their guys more. Regardless, everybody wants to see Jackson Dart. This could be the last time we see Jackson Dart for weeks, for months, for the year. Who knows? So the more Jackson Dart we get, the better it is. We'll be back next week with another Breaking Big Blue. As always, like, subscribe, tell your friends. All your podcast platforms were available. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube is a big one we're focusing on now. Obviously, if you're watching this right now, we got the video element that has been added to it in recent months. Provide feedback. Let me know what's working, what's not working. Love to hear it. We'll see you next time. You're listening to Breaking Big Blue. I'm Jordan Ronan. I already said. See you next time. Peace.